Several important business organizations have already said that you should not give the teachers the raise that they have already programmed, and several other matters such as this to keep from putting in a major tax bill. Are you going to be able to try this?
Even if the legislature were to take the teacher raise away from the teachers that they've already given them, it would be extremely difficult to keep from having a major tax bill, even if you eliminated the need for teacher salary increases. $270 million additional dollars are needed for the federally passed Medicaid program. $270 million more dollars for this program that Texas has no decision but to continue to participate in, or we'll lose all federal funds.
I got right here on the edge of the street here. I was running and I saw a guy from behind the building. He was peeping from around the corner and saw me, and he broke and ran. So when he broke and ran, I hollered for him to stop, but he wouldn't stop, and so I shot at him with my shotgun. And but he just went over the fence. See, and so when I ejected my shell and I came on back, wouldn't shoot no more because there's house back there, and I was afraid I might hit someone in that house back there. So that's why I didn't shoot no more. So I came on back here, ran back here, and the fire was burning up through the floor here, on up. It was climbing, you know.
There was a portable electric heater that was being used by the secretary in this area and had been used up until around noon. At that time, she had turned the heater off and may or may have not moved it near the window. And at this time, it is my opinion that this is probable cause of the fire.
The Dallas Legal Services Director Ed Polk says there is insurance to cover the loss here in this fire. He also said that the clients of this South Dallas Center will be serviced from the central office downtown until such time as this building can be put back in use, which he hopes will be around the first of the year. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move. Lieutenant Governor Ben Barnes has been in Dallas today visiting with businessmen, talking about the prime subject these days in politics, taxes. What are the things that you're hearing the most from the businessmen?
I think everyone's concerned about the economic conditions today that are not only exist here in Texas but throughout America. There's strong resistance to increased taxes at the local level and state level and the federal level. Texas has a very difficult financial problem. The legislature is going to have to pass a sizable tax bill, and I think all citizens are going to have to be more informed and more concerned about what Texas' financial plans are for the next 2 years if we're going to be able to reach a satisfactory solution to our financial problems.
Do you expect to spend a lot of time in Washington in the next few months?
Yes, we're going to have to spend a great deal of time in Washington. One of the main areas of concern is the increased cost of welfare programs. Welfare programs are being passed by the federal government, and yet the state is having to fund a large part of these programs. I am very hopeful that we can pass in the next session of Congress full federal financing for Medicaid, Medicare costs. If this legislation could be passed by the next session of Congress, then it would reduce the size of our tax bill by nearly $300 million. So I think it's well worth the taxpayers' time for me to spend several days and perhaps weeks in Washington, hopefully lobbying through this very important legislation.
I guess you're right. It's it's surprising. The hand really wasn't. The only time it really hurts is when I take a snap from center, and it got pretty tender at the end of the half there, and it started splitting open. So what I did is I just asked Coach if he could send Roger in there while I got it taped up at halftime, and I think this helped a little bit. I took the tape off it immediately to try to play with it, but as I was getting more and more snaps, it was getting more and more tender, and it started to split open again. But it was a fantastic day for all of us. It's really amazing that we could really come back like we did and play each game one at a time and have the great attitude that we've had the last 5 weeks, and I think that we'll be ready next week when we play Detroit.
You've got something that this club has not needed or had before, and that's that ephemeral quality called momentum. You seem to have it now.
Well, if there's anything, if you can define momentum, we have it. And on the other side, Detroit has it too. They're
right.
going too, and we're really two hot football teams. They've met some great opponents and defeated them. We've done likewise, so it should be a real outstanding football game next week.
TCU didn't quite make it on the football field this year, but in another area of competition, they've done quite well. Miss Lois Goldthwait is the 7th place winner in the Women's Intercollegiate Fencing Association Christmas tournament. And she has agreed to undergo a test of her skill against me, and little does she know that I am the former East Hattiesburg, Mississippi fencing champion. Miss Goldthwait, shall we?
Why not?
On guard. How did you get into fencing?
I started when I was a freshman as part of my physical education.
And have you kept up with it continuously ever since?
Yes, summer and winter.
What do you have to do with this? As a hobby or for what?
Well, my goal right now is to make the next Olympic team.
Oh, really? Ah! I don't know about her, but I'm going to turn my sword into a plowshare. This is Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the floor, Fort Worth.
Jesse Lynn Kessler of 1110 Peavy Road, Dallas, was a private in the United States Army. He went to Vietnam for a 12-month tour of duty, but served only 3 months. He was born in Wichita Falls, the son of Dale Kessler of Dallas and Mrs. Betty Lobach, now of Ontario, California. He was drafted in February of this year, went to Vietnam, and was killed in combat November 12th. Well, today, Jesse Lynn Kessler has come home to Dallas. This is the second funeral for Jesse Lynn, and he'll have still another tomorrow. When his body was returned by the Army to Oakland, California, his mother asked for and received his body. She was going to bury him in California. Mr. Kessler of Dallas filed a suit. He sought an injunction against those arrangements, saying he wanted his boy to come home to Texas. Well, the case finally went before U.S. District Judge Albert C. Wollenberg in California, and he made this ruling. He said the mother could have the son's body in California for 2 days, and then the body must travel to Texas for another burial service with the father. And he made one other ruling, that in a sense, since this boy could not be at rest with either of his parents, then he would be put to rest with those of his own kind, other military men who have died before him. Jesse Lynn Kessler will be buried tomorrow in Arlington National Cemetery. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News, Mesquite.
What are the recommendations, the basic recommendations that are expected to come from the conference?
My interpretation of the basic recommendations from listening to the caucuses of the forums, first of all, I'm sure that President Nixon's family assistance plan will receive a lot of attention from the administration. From the legislature, I think comprehensive health insurance for all children will be of one of the major items on the agenda for the year ahead.
I am for 18-year-olds being afforded the opportunity to vote in state elections, as now they have the right to do in federal elections. So we're going to have to pass a constitutional amendment to make this possible. And of course now, since parties cannot bear the primary cost, we're going to have to determine some way to pay for the cost of elections.
Would you expect there to be more extensive revisions, perhaps shortening the campaign period and other changes?
I certainly hope so. I think politics lasted too long in 1970. Everyone ran for office for a year. The expense continues to increase. It's becoming more and more difficult to finance campaigns. I hope we can look at moving the primary dates. I hope we can look at 4-year terms for statewide officials, and I hope we can look at some form of state election cost control. I think we need to put some limitations on the amount of money that candidates can spend running for public office.
I'm very pleased to say that it is on schedule. The park is approximately 30% complete, and we remain confident that it will be opened next summer as originally planned. The initiative of Six Flags Over Texas in beginning the work will certainly stand us in good stead, and I don't mean to infer that we won't still remain very close to those wonderful people, because they will be providing services on a direct day-to-day basis for the city. Just as we had originally counted upon them, we'll have them to deliver the special expertise, the many talents which they possess in such abundance.
He didn't say anything. He had all of his stuff in a note, and I read the note. It told me to put all my money in his sack, that there was a bomb in the sack, and that it would go off, and he could detonate it from inside his car.
Did you look in the sack?
Yes.
Was there something in there?
There was a box in there with tape around it. I mean, it was just a box in there. I don't know if they had tape around it or not, and I didn't bother to look.
Well, when you read the note, what went through your mind?
I better do what he said.
Well, did you fear for your life, Charles?
I was scared. Yes, I was.
Do you know how much money you gave him?
$9,700.
What did the man look like?
He was a white, with a black mustache. He wore a hat and a white shirt, no tie or suit or anything like that. He was pretty fat too.
Have you ever seen the man before?
No, I can't remember if I did. I mean, I never noticed him before.
Last week, a meeting was held with the 3 original bidders on the ambulance contract. At that time, there seemed to be several questions that came up that was unclear in the minds of the bidders and the committee. As a result of that meeting, it was determined that in the best interests of the city and the bidders, and the most equitable treatment of all concerned, it would be desirable to make some minor modifications to the specifications and request new bid proposals. So these bids were received this morning. They will be analyzed by the committee and submitted to the City Council at an early date.
feel pretty good.
How long's it been since you've been home?
4 years.
4 years. What happened to you?
I got hit with 2 RPGs.
In Vietnam?
Yes.
How do you think your family is they looking forward to you coming home?
Yes.
Are you kind of apprehensive about seeing them again after so long?
Yes.
What are you going to do?
No.
When you get out?
I plan on going to college after I get out.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to have any problems? Are you going to be able to overcome your difficulties?
Well, I think I will. It'll take a little time. I believe I'll make it.
Are you bitter about what's happened to you?
The way I feel about it, guys went over before I did to, trying to, stop the war so that maybe that I didn't have to go. So, unfortunately, I had to go. I got hurt. Something about it.
This small block of land here between Main and Elm and Market and Record Streets is going to be turned into an historical plaza with a large map in the center of it depicting Dallas County as it was when it was formed in 1846. Judge Lou Sterrett promised that he would bring out his 30-degree 2-minute speech for this occasion, although this is the culmination of a dream he and others have had for Dallas County since 1949.
I cannot refrain from saying just one word about a great leader in Dallas that headed the campaign and helped us bring this about. I wish he could be with us today. Mr. Robert L. Thornton had played a prominent part, along with many, many other civic leaders, in building this courthouse complex. In fact, building a great city and a great county. Thank you all for coming.
After the very brief speech-making, there was a very symbolic groundbreaking, since only a little bit of ground was broken, by Commissioners John Whittington and Mel Price with the assist of the bulldozer operator. The Associated General Contractors are going to donate some of their efforts in helping to further restore the John Neely Bryan cabin. It also will be located here in this historical plaza along with a map of Dallas County. The work that is to be done here will be costing about $80,000. However, the land itself already cost Dallas County about $800,000. This is Roster McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move.